Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Snap Rewind Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Drew Fowler, here with your main captain of the entire podcast, Mr. Christian Hunt. How are we doing tonight, everybody? Welcome. We've had an exciting week of sports. The NFL playoffs are in full swing. We are down to the championships for the AFC and the NFC. Very excited about that. There's some stuff happening with basketball. There's some stuff happening with NHL. There's lots happening with Mr. Urban Meyer. So let's get into that. How are you doing, Christian?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. I tell you right now, you're absolutely right. You hit it right on the nail right on the head there. It was an exciting week of football. I lost all my damn money that I put on the Browns this week. So, way to go, Cleveland. Get my hopes up.
Yeah, it's a really slippery slope, and it slips right into our segue to our sponsor. Why don't you give them a tell about it, Christian?
Man, we are so excited. We have landed a sponsorship with Crest Honda. And, we'd like to thank our sponsor, by the way, Crest Honda, which is Nashville's premier Honda store. So whether you're looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle, Crest Honda will provide you the best bang for your buck in the car business. Call 615-256-5656 to schedule your test drive today. And with that being said, I'm excited to get into this. Drew, why don't you get us kicked off with our first segment here, buddy?
All right, so Mr. Urban Meyer has officially been called up to the Jacksonville Jaguars. He signed his contract. He is ready to roll as the new head coach. They also are in talks of hiring Mr. Trent. How do you pronounce his last name, Christian? Because I can't fucking do it. Balky?
It's Balky. Trent Balky.
Trent Balky. That's reported by Mike Garofalo via ESPN about 2 hours ago. So that's pretty exciting. Jacksonville's getting a new facelift in their back of house. Maybe they can get some good players in the draft. Maybe get some good pieces going there,
Yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. I mean, there's a lot of, anytime you hire a college coach, right, especially somebody like Urban Meyer, there's always this little bit of element to it of, well, can he really be successful in the NFL? Look at Nick Saban, Pete Carroll the first time around. there's always going to be that element of, well, they don't know what they're doing, or he may not be able to translate it to the NFL. One thing I will say, I've got a couple things to say, but the most important thing is the medical staff in Jacksonville is probably going to be head and shoulders better than what he's seen at the college level. So there won't be any excuses about health or anything like that because of recruiting violations coming out. So yeah, that'll be great to see Urban Meyer stay healthy. Hopefully, you always want to see somebody be healthy. Secondly, look, for me with the Urban Meyer hire, what I really want to see from him is hire a staff. Really, it comes down to hiring a defensive coordinator and an offensive coordinator and letting them do their thing. If he can do that and sort of manage the team and put his brand and put his philosophy out there and get them to buy into it, I think it'll be a good hire. But I think he just has to simply manage the team, and I think they should be winning within the next couple of years. I mean, they're too talented, and honestly, I think they have all the cap space in the world, and they have a shit ton of draft picks, so they should be able to pull something out down there.
Yeah, and I mean, speaking of head and shoulders, Patrick Mahomes, he is looking rough right now, buddy. I mean, they're talking about how he got a nerve hit in his brain. So I mean, he might not be playoff ready. I mean, he's passed all of his protocol tests, but they're still saying that it's not 100% yet whether he's going to play this weekend against Buffalo. I think that's going to severely impact the ability for Kansas City to make it past Buffalo this weekend, to make it to the Super Bowl. If they can get carried by their defense and their running game, who's their backup again?
Chad Henne.
So if Henne can make it through, then we might have a Kansas City Super Bowl again. But I sincerely think that if Mahomes doesn't make it to the playoffs this weekend, Buffalo Bills are going to be making it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, look, you're paying the cat $500 million. You know what I mean? I don't know about you, but if I ever had at least $500 million and I've invested it, I would want that to be the safest freaking investment you could have. So I don't know, you put him out there, he gets even more banged up. It affects him going into next season. That's not good. You know what I mean? So I know they want to win Super Bowls, and I know they've got a finite amount of time to do it with the roster they have, but Chad Henne may be able to get in there and may mix it up. I mean, let's be honest, that game last week against Baltimore, they weren't really able to, they did okay, but I mean, they only scored 10 points on Baltimore. Take away that pick six, and it would be a different story, I feel like, with the Bills. So really, when you're telling, Chad Henne, and you never know. I mean, they may come out on Sunday and they may blow him out of the freaking water. But if Chad Henne starts this game, if I'm the coach and saying, look, I need at least 3 touchdowns from you. You put at least 20 points on the board, we'll figure out how to win this game.
Yep. I mean, and it really comes down to this too. I mean, Josh Allen, he's got a little bit of playoff experience now. He's calming down probably. He's getting used to, being under the mainstream showcase, because when we're talking about the Buffalo Bills, you're only talking about Buffalo Bill fans I watched during the regular season. Right now you have the whole entire world watching you, and that kind of weighs into people's minds whenever they play in the NFL. I mean, I've seen multiple interviews with multiple players saying, it's a whole different kind of game whenever you're playing in the playoffs, because it's not just your fans watching you anymore. It comes down to the whole entire world. The whole entire world internationally is watching you play. So now you have to be prepared for that. Another thing with that is too, and going from the Bills beating the Ravens to the Browns losing to Kansas City, my thoughts on the Browns is if they come back strong next year, they have a really enticing shot at the Super Bowl, as long as they can keep everybody healthy and as long as all that runs smoothly. But going on to the NFC, what did you think about the Buccaneers versus the Saints?
Man, honestly, it was just one of those things where it was just I don't think a touchdown was even scored in the first quarter. Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. No, I think it was a very back and forth kind of game. I think Tampa Bay pulled away there at the end. If you fool Tom Brady once, shame on you. You fool him twice, well, still shame on you. But in that third game, you ain't gonna get him a third time. And when it counted, I think he was able to deliver. And I think Tampa Bay is going to be able to give Green Bay a good run for their money.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tampa Bay is definitely going to give Green Bay a good run for their money, man. But here's my thing. I think Tom Brady is officially proven himself. He's officially proven that it wasn't Belichick that was winning Super Bowls. It was Tom motherfucking Brady that was winning those Super Bowls. He's proven himself to be the greatest quarterback that we have seen in our generation. Still not willing to say he's better than Terry Bradshaw, because I'm sorry, once you win 4 Super Bowls back to back, then you can start saying you're better than Terry Bradshaw. Then you can start saying you're better than Joe Montana, all this, that, and the other. But aside from all that, he's definitely the greatest quarterback of our generation. I'm saying that as a Steelers fan. I'm saying that he's better than Ben Roethlisberger right now. I'm saying that he's better than, obviously Drew Brees. He's better than, if he can beat out Aaron Rodgers in this NFC Championship game, he will definitely have proven himself to be the best quarterback of all time, because he's done it in the AFC and now he's done it in the NFC as well. So that's a huge, huge thing. Moving on from that, Green Bay beat the Rams, not very surprisingly, by the way. So
and real quick too, there was one more thing I was going to say about this game that I just remembered. Last week I called it, and I said this is probably going to be Tom Brady's last, or not Tom Brady, Drew Brees, his last game. And I think Brees is done after this, man. I think that was his last game that he'll ever play in the league. So.
Yep, I mean, it definitely is his last game. He's kind of made that pseudo-official that he's not coming back to the league next year. And, let's celebrate to that, man, because that guy has had a fantastic career in the NFL, won himself a Super Bowl. He's done a lot of great things for the league. He's done a lot of great things for the New Orleans community. He did a lot of great things when he was even with the Chargers. He's been a very, very, very good quarterback, consistent as they come. He'll definitely make it into the Hall of Fame as one of the greats. But I think that it was time, just like I think it's time for Ben Roethlisberger to retire. I think that he's got one more year. Ben Roethlisberger, I wasn't going to talk about the Steelers, but I'm going to talk about it now. He's got one more year left with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And in my personal opinion, what I think he should do is just go ahead and let Mason Rudolph, or if they pick up a great draft pick like Trask, which they won't, or, somebody that's really, really good, a really good quarterback from, the draft this year, or if they make a trade, or hell, even if they get Cam Newton, I don't know. We won't know until something happens, but I think they should get somebody to replace Ben this year. Let Ben coach them, have him play half the season, and then pass the torch halfway through the season, like on their 6th or 8th game, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of names out there. I mean, to me, they're a guy that I still like, that I think honestly, has a lot of potential. Josh Rosen, the Cardinals' former number 1 pick. I mean, he's floating around out there on the practice squad, I think, up in San Fran, and I think he's good. I mean, you could look at Dwayne Haskins maybe. In a situation where you sign these kids, you let them sit for a full year, let them learn the offense, get more proficient at it, and then try to give them some reps. Let them see what they can do.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, Josh Rosen would be a great pickup for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But we'll see when it comes. I'm not going to dive too deep on the Steelers today, because it's not relevant in what's currently going on, and this is all speculation and everything. So, getting back into the NFL though, I think we were both 2 for 4 this past week. So, I think you and I both agreed on the Bucks beating the Saints. Or no, I said the Saints, you said the Bucks. We both agreed on Green Bay beating the Rams. You picked the Ravens, I think.
Yeah.
And I picked the Bills. And then we both, I picked Kansas City. I think you picked the Browns.
Yep, that was that was about it. But I mean, we're I guess kind of tied back up right now. So
yeah, we're tied up for last week. The week before last, I demolished you, but it's all good.
Speaking of demolishing, no, I'm just kidding. We're not pulling another sponsor out of that.
So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a great NFC championship game. I hope that Patrick Mahomes comes back for the AFC championship game, because if not, I think the Bills are gonna run away with it. So we'll see what happens. Moving on from all of that, do you have anything else to add in? Has there been any big? Well, I know for the Steelers. Actually, I'll bring the Steelers back up again. We fired a few coaching. We made a few coaching staff changes just because their contracts ran out. So we'll get a new defensive backs coach by 21 and the beginning of the season for 21-22, and we're gonna get a few other things in there. Did you have any other insights into what's happening with the NFL while we're in the off season, or not in the off season, but we're in the playoffs for the rest of the league?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, are we getting ready to, after this? By the way, are we going into the Packers and the Rams?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, I've totally skipped over Packers and Rams. I mean, because man, for me, to be honest, it just was kind of a no-brainer. I mean, Jared Goff is good and everything. They have a great coach, and the Rams are a really good team and everything. But to be honest with you, I mean, Green Bay's been running amok all year, so it kind of was no surprise to me that Green Bay took it away.
Yeah, and I agree. I think what I saw in that game was, we were at work and we were watching the game at work, as best we could. We were running around, we were a little busy, but felt like every 2 minutes I would look up at that game and Green Bay would have the ball back. The time of possession in that game had to have been just ridiculous, because I think only like once or twice I really saw the Rams had the ball. I mean, just every couple minutes they were just going 3 and out, and a little too late. You know what I mean? I mean, they got to figure something out at quarterback, I think. And I think my bold prediction for next year is Wolford will become their starting quarterback.
All right.
Midpoint.
All right. I think that's a pretty bold prediction. I think I could see Wolford taking over the QB spot. And Jared Goff, he might be a good backup quarterback somewhere else, or hell, even a starter for like maybe the Panthers or something, or another one of those teams that need a little bit of help in the quarterback position. But I mean, like I said, man, it wasn't really that much of a surprise for me. But my predictions for the rest of the NFL for this year is going to be, if Mahomes can make it back to the playoffs, it's going to be Kansas City getting into the Super Bowl. If he's not back and ready and passes concussion protocol and, his brain is fine and everything, I hope so, because that kid, is a very talented player. Also, his leg was a little bit hurt. I don't know if, a lot of people watched that game, but he looked like he was limping for a lot of that game because he got hit early in, I think the second quarter. So hopefully he's 100%. He's able to get to 100% by the time this weekend rolls around, because if not, I think that the Bills are going to run away with it. And so my prediction is, like I was saying, if Mahomes can make it back, Kansas City, Green Bay for the Super Bowl. If not, Bills versus Green Bay in the Super Bowl. I think that Tom Brady has a shot at winning against Green Bay, but I think that Aaron Rodgers and the Packers have a very good shot of winning the NFC Championship.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna do it again because you got to go big. The last time these teams played was in the regular season. Okay, the final score of that game was Tampa Bay 38, Green Bay 10. So Tampa Bay won the last matchup. Now I understand, hey, a lot's changed since then. That was 5 games into the season, 5-6 games into the season. Like, can you really compare it? You can. And I think Tom Brady is going to win. I think Brady wins this game. I think Rodgers will put up. Honestly, I think Rodgers will probably put up, at least 30 points in this game. But I think Tampa Bay finds a way to win it.
Tampa.
The battle of
the Battle of the Bays.
Yes. the Battle of the Bays, and that's BAY, not BAE either.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
wondering.
we're not talking about two Southern girls getting down and dirty trying to fight over their cousin in a mud bath in Alabama. So other than that, is there anything else we need to cover in football aside? We kind of went over Urban Meyer a little bit. How big of an impact do you think that's going to be on Jacksonville?
I think it'll be. To me, I think it's going to be more about the coordinators that they bring in. You know what I mean, and the sort of protection that they can put around Trevor Lawrence, and assuming they draft Trevher Lawrence, I would hope they would. And really just the pieces they can put around. They say it's not about the Jimmies and the Joes, it's about the X's and the O's. To me, I think it's just getting a team in there and utilizing them to the best of their ability. And I think if Urban, like I said, can hire the right coordinators, I mean, the rest is just going to be easy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, I personally think that if they can get their coaching staff right, and they get a good amount of players, I think Jacksonville should be a playoff team. I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars had a really, really good defense that year that they made it to the playoffs. What was it, 3-4 years ago, 2017, 2016, somewhere around there, when they had like the best defense in the league. I think that they can get back to that. I think that they can get back to having the best defense in the league. I think they can get back to, running the ball better. I think they can get back to getting a better quarterback, get Minshew out of there, get down and dirty with somebody that, is ready to play the game, and throw the ball. But, well, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think Urban Meyer is going to do a lot of great things for that team, and I think he's going to attract a lot of players to that team too. So that way they're going to build a good squad, and people are going to want to play for Urban Meyer. You know what I mean?
The one thing I would say too, and I wrote this down before we got on the podcast, is Balky was with the 49ers back when they had Harbaugh, and a year after they went to the Super Bowl, Harbaugh resigned because of Balky. There was a lot of conflict there, I think, in the direction they wanted to move with the team, and so that's the thing. He's going to be a very opinionated GM, and he's going to want to have his say so in it. And I think he was responsible for hiring and firing Tom Sula and Chip Kelly over there. So we'll see what happens. I mean, if it doesn't go right, you know what I mean, then he's got at least three. I'd say Urban Meyer's got at least 3 years of job security, and after that, it's it all starts back over if he can't figure out how to do it in the next 3 years.
Yeah, and that's a really interesting tidbit there, because then that kind of factors in if Balky becomes GM, and then Urban Meyer's the coach. That's going to be very interesting. So with that being said, I think there's like maybe a few things out in the NFL floating around, but I don't think it's anything like super news breaking. Actually, let me check something real quick. Let's see. What do you think Cam Newton's gonna just try to hit the market? Do you think he's gonna try to hit the market and see what he can get, or do you think he's gonna try to sign another contract with the Pats? Or
I think he's going to get with his agent. You know what I mean? I think they'll probably do, his agent will make some calls and stuff like that. And then there's going to probably be a dead period of about, a few weeks where they're not really sure what the hell is going to happen. And I think ultimately he probably will re-sign with the Patriots. If the money's not there, what do I think he's ultimately going to do? I think he'll re-sign with the Patriots.
What's up, Shmar? Thanks for coming by the podcast, man. We're going to get into some gaming after this. But yeah, we're going over sports right now. Stick around. I think... What up, Dad? I think that Cam's going to test the waters a little bit. But honestly, his best bet, I think, personally, for him would be to try to stick it out with the Patriots and, maybe try to learn something from old Belichick. Because, I mean, Belichick, I think, doesn't get enough credit. But, at the same time, Brady's kind of proven that, he didn't need Belichick to get to where he is now in the NFC Championship. Mm-hmm. I'm going to hop on PUBG, man. We're doing our sports podcast right now. But So with that being said, I think I'm gonna hop on to NBA here. The NBA. Just go over the huge trade between the four teams. It was the, let's see, what was the four teams here? James Harden got traded to the Brooklyn Nets, my main team. Granted, I'm wearing an Orlando Magic hat right now, but the Brooklyn Nets, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Indiana Pacers, and of course the Rockets. So James Harden going to the Nets is a huge deal. Now you have Kyrie Irving, you have James Harden, you have Kevin Durant, you have Jordan, you have all these power star players on this team, and then you've already had a really good group of guys that were already a basis for that team, and now you add Harden to the mix. It's a wrap, bro. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I may be a little bit biased in saying this here, but I think the Nets are going to be a huge contender for the NBA championship this year. I think that, they won their game against the Bucks. If you're beating the Bucks with Giannis, one of the best players in the league, it was a close game too. Don't get me wrong. They only won by 2 points, but a W is still a W, baby. It's one of those things where it's like you see this all-star roundup and you start to think of the Miami Heat. You start to think of LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh era kind of shit. You start thinking about, the old school Bulls era kind of thing. And this team, you have James Harden and Kevin Durant back on the same team. They haven't been on a team together since Oklahoma City. And James Harden was Sixth Man of the Year that year. That was his first or second year playing. And now you have them all back together again. And you have Kyrie Irving, one of the best point guards in the league. You have DeAndre Jordan, one of the best centers in the league, one of the best rebounders, one of the best paint scorers. It's just, I could go on about the Nets. But, with the whole entire thing, right now, the Brooklyn Nets are sitting at number 5 in the East, which, could be better, could be worse. You have the Celtics, of course, at number 1. You have the Bucks at number 2. You have the 76ers at 3, Pacers at 4. And then you have the Knicks behind the Nets. You have the Cavs at 7 and the Hawks at 8. And then my other team, the Orlando Magic, at number 9. And you know what, man? I think it's just going to be a really tightly contested standings race for the entire year. But I think the playoffs is where it's going to count. I think that the Nets are anticipating that. That's why they're not overplaying. They're actually underplaying a lot of their players. I don't think Kyrie even played against the Bucks last night. The Lakers, of course, are number 1 right now. 11 wins, 4 losses. Clippers, Jazz, Suns, 8. Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns got a really good squad right now too, man. I could see the Phoenix Suns going deep in the playoffs this year. And that's not something that you would usually say, man. But, hey, that purple, man, you know Marcus Stewart, he's going to be ranting and raving about his Phoenix Suns all this year because they're fucking showing up. They got Chris Paul, they got Booker, they got freaking Ayton, they've got Jalen Smith, they got Jay Crowder. They've got a lot of really young, good, talented players on their team right now. Especially with Chris Paul leading the pack as a veteran there. That's really good for them, and I'm really props to them. I can see 76ers going really deep. Ben Simmons is really good. Joel Embiid is really good. You got Danny Green on that team too. Steph Curry's little brother. You got Dwight Howard on that team, of course. Tobias Harris, one of my favorite players, came from the Magic. They've got a really good team. It's a really good time to be an NBA fan right now, man, because let me tell you, ever since that whole agreement that they had for the advertising agreement, so the players get paid more off of advertising, and they have more the teams have more cap space now, it's more even. Like, it's not just, whatever team LeBron James is on, they're gonna beat everybody's ass because, like, not everybody has all this cap space to be buying up all these players. It's only like certain big markets like LA, Miami, Boston. It's not like that anymore. You have teams like the 76ers, the Philadelphia 76ers, who haven't been prevalent since Iverson was playing. You know what I mean? They haven't been prevalent since Iverson was playing, and now they have the cap space to get all these good people, and they've been building their team over the years anyway with all these rookies that they got. So, and I mean, it's just going to be a really good year of basketball, and I'm really excited about it. I know we're, about a quarter of the way through it, maybe, but it's going to be a very interesting year.
Yeah, I agree. I think, you've got, to me, the ultimate lineup would be Kyrie at the 1, James Harden at the 2, and then Kevin Durant probably playing, the 3 or the 4. So really the only thing they really need, I mean, who do they have playing center down there?
Where at?
For the Nets.
Oh, DeAndre Jordan.
Okay, so yeah, I mean they seem pretty stacked, I mean, really the only thing that I would like to see is just the depth. You know what I mean? It's any sports, you look at these sports teams that goes pretty deep, and it really is just about depth. If they have a good outing from their bench, I think they'll be more than okay.
Yeah, I mean, because you also have players like Jeff Green, you have Tyler Johnson, you have Luau, you have Reggie Perry, you have Claxton, you have Joe Harris, who was really amazing last night. He threw like 7 for 15 on the 3. You have Dinwiddie too if he comes back, but I think he's got an ACL. I'm not sure what his. I know he's got an injury, but I think he's coming back this season. But Dinwiddie's one of the best players in the NBA. He flew under the radar, and he just came up out of nowhere last year. When Kyrie was going out in and out last year, because Kyrie wasn't really playing it to win it last year, because he knew he didn't have the squad that he needed to make it to the playoffs, or even the playoffs or the finals. So Kyrie was kind of out, but Dinwiddie, he showed up, man. He showed up when the rest of the world didn't expect him to. So I mean, they got a really, really good squad. They've got the depth. The Bucks have really good depth too, so they're going to be really tough playoff contenders. And I mean, you got Brook Lopez, which I thought was funny last night because he landed a 3, and that's awesome whenever you see a big man like that hit a 3-pointer. Like, I saw him wide open in the corner. I'm like, they're going to pass it to him, and they sure as hell did, and he sunk that 3 in, man. Because, I mean, that's the thing. Brook Lopez, I loved it when he was on the Brooklyn Nets. He was absolutely amazing on the Brooklyn Nets. Because that man can play like a motherfucker, dude. Like, he is one of the best centers in the league, and I think he's super underrated. And I hope he does really well with the Bucks, and he's been doing really good with the Bucks. I think that was a good trade for him. But the next 2 games for the Nets are going to be, tomorrow and Friday. They're going to play against the Cleveland Cavaliers, which should be easy blowouts for them, I think. They might lose one, but just trying to stay healthy. And, it's kind of like, and I'm going to transition real quick into the NHL with it. It's kind of like the Penguins, man. They play just like the Penguins. They kind of play hit or miss during the regular season, and then in the playoffs, they just come in hard.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. We've talked about that. Kind of like my, Atlanta Thrashers. They played really hard during the regular season, and then when it comes time to the postseason, some people say that they moved up north to Winnipeg.
Yeah. So with the NHL, I mean, the Winnipeg Jets are 2-1 right now. They beat the Senators today. Good on them. Right now it's super, 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 super early. So Tampa Bay, of course, is leading the Central Division over the Hurricanes and the Preds. The Flyers are number 1 in the East. Above my Penguins. Penguins are actually trailing right now, but I mean, we're still 4-2. Islanders are 3-2. They're ahead of us. The Jersey Devils are 3-2. The Capitals are 4-2. The Rangers and the Sabres are lining out the bottom along with the Bruins. But that's to be expected. The Capitals are a really good team. They came off a championship from 2 years ago. And then I've always been saying, man, the Jersey Devils are a team to be reckoned with. I think I've been saying this for the last 4 years. The New Jersey Devils are going to come out of nowhere and surprise the shit out of everybody. And mark my words, here they are. They're number 3 in the East right now, and I think they're going to just keep going up. I think they're going to win games. Going with the West Division, of course, the Las Vegas Golden Knights are 3-3, leading the top. You got the St. Louis Blues right behind them. You got the Minnesota Wild behind them, the Coyotes, Ducks, Avalanche, Kings, and Sharks. Speaking of the Colorado Avalanche, there was a trade made just a few hours ago. Cole has gone from the Colorado Avalanche to the Minnesota Wild. He's a 2-time Cup winner. They swapped out their defensive players. I think that it's going to be a very, very, very interesting thing because Cole used to be a Penguins player too. He's a really, really good player. And I think he'll do really well in Minnesota. I think Minnesota needs a good player like him. He's Ian Cole is just one of those defensive players that we're missing him because we need a defensive player like him right now. I think that he's going to do really well for the Minnesota Wild, and I think if the Wild can utilize him right, I think they can move up a few spots in their rankings. Let's see here. Let's go ahead and slide back into the NBA here real quick because I've got the power rankings. Lakers are pulling up number 1. The Clippers are number 2, which I don't think is very deserved. I think that the Clippers are going to be sliding down a few power rankings here in the next week or two. I think they're going to be back down to number 4, number 5. That's just my opinion. Kawhi Leonard is looking better and better, but at the same time, he still needs to have that team around him. And in LA with the Clippers, I don't think that it's 100% there yet. They're doing really good. They're 10-4. So, but I think that they're gonna slip. And mark my words on it. I mean, you can take it to. I'm not saying take it to the bank or anything, but I think that the Clippers are going to slip down a few power rankings here in the next couple of weeks. The Milwaukee Bucks are number 3, of course. Boston Celtics are 4. Sixers are number 5. They slipped down, and the Brooklyn Nets have gone up to number 6 from number 11. Just in 2 games with James Harden. I mean. That added so much potential to their whole entire squad just by adding one player. They've went from number 11 to number 6. And I think that's because James Harden knows how to handle the ball. He knows how to score. He knows how to get assists. He knows he's a very, very high IQ player, and I think he's going to do really well. And then number 7, Utah Jazz, which isn't surprising. Jazz have a really good squad there. And then you also have the Phoenix Suns rounding it up at number 8. Indiana Pacers at number 9, and the Dallas Mavericks at number 10, which, Dallas Mavericks are still a very prevalent team. Pacers are still a really prevalent team. And, that's your top 10 for this week, man. I mean, it's just looking better and better as the NBA goes on. You're seeing all these teams that wouldn't normally be in the top 10, 5 years ago, 3, 4, even 2 or 3 years ago, you wouldn't see half these teams on the top 10 in the power rankings. But it's looking good, man. I'm really excited about the NBA this year.
Yeah, I am too. I mean, it's going to be interesting. I mean, obviously, I'm an Atlanta sports fiend, and the Hawks right now they're ranked number 25 in the power rankings. But it'll be interesting to kind of see how this season shakes out. I think the NBA is one of those kind of things. And you said it earlier, where every couple games you're not getting the starting lineup that you would see, in the opening tip-off of a playoff series. So it's always interesting to kind of see how the NBA kind of shakes out, because I feel like you really don't get a good sense for what teams are really capable of until the playoffs.
Right. I mean, It for me, it's more after the trade deadline. After the trade
Mhm.
deadline, you start to see teams throw it, kick it up a few notches, throw it into freaking third gear, put their foot in the gas, and you really start to see them shine. You really start to see a lot of that after the trade deadline. So I think when the trade deadline this year is over, you're going to see teams like the Atlanta Hawks move up because they've already beat the Nets a couple times this year. They're going to see teams like the Chicago Bulls with Zach LaVine move up in the power rankings. You're going to see the Rockets move back up. You're going to see teams like the Charlotte Hornets start to pick up a little bit. You're going to see, you're going to see a lot of these teams move up in power rankings. You're going to see the Magic come back because they're limping a little bit right now, but I think that they're gonna push it through once the trade deadline's over because I think they're gonna make some moves. And then Golden State, man, what happened to them? You know what I mean? What happened to the Warriors, bro? Just because you lost Kevin Durant, you had an all-star squad before that. You know what I mean? It's kind of weird seeing them. What are they right now? Where did they go?
14th.
Yep, 14th. I mean, that's a little weird seeing Golden State that far low, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like I said, I think they're still trying to get Steph Curry and Klay Thompson sort of back in the swing of things, because didn't they miss like last year, like a significant portion of last year?
Yeah. Steph Curry was out for the most of the year last year. Klay Thompson, he's been kind of wishy-washy just because he was thinking about going to a different team. But I didn't think his heart was in it. But now they got Andrew Wiggins, who's a fantastic player from Minnesota. You've got Bazemore, who's a fantastic player from your Atlanta Hawks. You got a lot of really good players, and I mean, I think that it should be a team that picks up a few more spots before the trade deadline and moves up a little bit.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
But yeah, so I mean, we've gone over NHL, NBA, NFL.
Well, we couldn't get off here without talking about one of my favorite topics, and that is the University of Tennessee football program.
Woo! Here we go, baby. Let's talk about them Vols.
How many dumpster fires have been lit already? Is the question that I'm sure a lot of people are asking right now. And no, this isn't a jab at Tennessee football. It's, in all seriousness, there's a couple names that, to me, there's a lot of names right now that are being thrown out there for who should be head coach at the University of Tennessee. A couple of interesting ones I think that are tied to this job that I personally want to see is either Jeff Fisher or Jason Witten. And Jason Witten, yes, the tight end for the Cowboys and Raiders of the last year. To me, I think Jeff Fisher would be. I would love to see Jeff Fisher become the coach at Tennessee, and I think Jason Witten would be interesting because nobody knows what the hell they're going to get out of all this.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting. The other thing, too, is Vanderbilt football. Let's go ahead and talk about that real quick.
I think they hired Notre Dame's defensive coordinator, if I remember right.
Yeah, they went ahead and let's see here. They're hiring Baltimore Ravens coach Jesse Minter as the defensive coordinator. They're trying to make some moves. You know what I mean? Vanderbilt needs to do something. They're probably the lowest ranked team in the SEC right now. One of the lowest ranked in anyway. They really, really need to pick it up, step it up, and try to make something out of their football program. They got a great medical program, but they're not doing very well for everybody's heart conditions around here in Middle Tennessee as long as it comes to the Vanderbilt Commodores. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's the thing. You know what I mean? When we talk about the NFL, and earlier I said it's not about the Jimmies and the Joes, but it's about the X's and the O's. For Vanderbilt, it's the exact opposite. I think they can get the best coach in there. I mean, they literally could go out and get Nick Saban, or Urban Meyer, right? Mm-hmm. Or Belichick even. Hell, you can get any coach you want in there. But at the end of the day, you got to have talent. And there's a significant drop-off from the premier schools in the SEC, your Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Texas A&Ms, right? Auburn's even, versus who's playing ball at Vanderbilt. And that's going to be a big thing, because you can coach somebody to death, but if they're faster than you or they're just better than you, point blank, then it's kind of hard to coach around that.
Yep. And I mean, it's really a lot to do with the recruiting. We talked about this last week. If you haven't checked out last week's episode, it's not on YouTube. We've been having some technical difficulties with the file on that video. Tried re-downloading it off of Twitch, but if you want to check it out here on Twitch, it's still in there. Just look up the Snap Rewind Volume 2. And this one we're gonna go ahead and put it on YouTube this hopefully in the next day or two. Hopefully the download doesn't get affected or anything like that. I totally forgot to hit the record button, so we're not recording right now. It's just live on Twitch, but I can download it again. But I think Vanderbilt, they're missing pieces. They're also losing their linebackers coach to the Titans. It looks like it's just it's a really hard struggle for Vanderbilt right now. I'd like to see them make it a little bit better than where they are right now. But man, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel for a lot of things right now. And that's the thing, like I said, we were talking about last week. You got to have good recruiters more than anything else. You could have Nick Saban on there. You could have, you could have Bill Cowher as your offensive coordinator. You could have fucking, Joe Montana as your freaking quarterbacks coach. It doesn't fucking matter. If you don't have the right players, if you don't have the right people to play for you, if you don't get these kids that are all-stars in high school and you don't get them on your team in college, it's not going to matter. You're going to be playing with second-tier players, and they're not going to make it at the collegiate level, let alone the NFL level.
No, exactly. I mean, and one thing they'll be able to say that not a lot of people in the SEC get to say is, we got our education.
Absolutely. Let's see here, man. Do we have anything else that we needed to cover? Let's see.
I think that might be all that I had on the agenda. I don't know. Is there anything else you want?
Chargers new coach.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so I think it's Brandon Staley. He was the Rams defensive coordinator for just last year. So real, kind of a surprising move. I think everybody thought that Brian Daboll was going to end up being the hire there, and that would have been a slam dunk hire. But, they went out and they got the Rams. See, I always get them, because they're both from Los Angeles. I always get them kind of confused. But, yeah, the Rams defensive coordinator. So, I mean, if he comes in and he does it the right way and he can hire a good offensive coordinator to kind of, get Justin Herbert to where he needs to be and get that offense going, I mean, you're going to be where you're going to be in good shape, because he's probably going to have his fingerprints all over that defense.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be an interesting year for the Chargers. They've got that young quarterback. They've got, a lot of pieces that are going to fill a lot of spots. Hiring that new coach is going to be, seeing what they're made out of. Let's see here. Playoffs we covered. Falcons. Was there anything you wanted to cover on the Falcons?
Yeah, man, I think, Atlanta, we hired Arthur Smith, the Titans offensive coordinator. So good news there. It'll be good Lord, this will be the third year in a row that he'll have coached somebody named Ryan. So that'll be good. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. And then we went out and got Terry Fontenot from the Saints as our GM. So, we've got a lot of good pieces kind of coming into the fold. I mean, I said this when we started the podcast a few weeks back, when you asked me, hey, what does Atlanta need to do? They need to go out, and in my opinion, they needed to get an offensive-minded coach, because the last few years, all we've had is defensive-minded coaches. And you look at the league right now, the Packers, the Bucks, the Bills, and the Chiefs, I think all of them except for one team, and that would be the Bills, went out and hired an offensive-minded coach. Whether it's Andy Reid, whether it's LaFleur or Arians, you got to have somebody who realistically is an offensive-minded coach to kind of come in there and get it, because the league's transition. I know the old saying, defense wins championships. Well, not if the offense goes out and throws for 500 yards a game and puts up 40-plus points.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is, man. I mean, you have to have a good offense to complement your defense. And I mean, defense does win games 100%. I mean, that's why we were 11-0 going into the season, the Pittsburgh Steelers, because we had a fantastic defense. A lot of our players got hurt. Bush got hurt. What's his name? I can never remember that cat's name, man. The linebacker that complements TJ Watt. God, I don't know. But we have a lot of good defensive players on the Steelers, and that's why we were 11-0. And then once we got banged up on the defensive side, we started going south. What about the Jets? Robert Slay?
Yeah, it was Bud Dupree. I think that's who you were thinking of.
Oh, Bud Dupree. Yeah. Bud Dupree. Yeah, that's who I was trying to think of. I'm sorry. Yeah, Bud Dupree. Yeah, fantastic linebacker. And I mean, he was tit for tat with TJ Watt with getting the sacks, and then he got hurt, man. I mean, that's just how it goes. I mean, Dupree went out, Bush went out. That's majority of what our defense is right there, and that's why we started losing games after that. But yeah, Robert Saleh.
Man, I think this is a good hire because I mean he was the 49ers defensive coordinator, for a while, and I think he's gonna what Saleh is gonna bring to the Jets is something they haven't had in a while, and that's a culture change. Really, it's not that they're not a talented team. I think every team in the NFL is talented, but I think he's going to come in and he's going to change the culture in that locker room and get them believing. And I mean, he's going to, he's probably going to do the same thing. This is a big theme that, with all these coaching hires is I don't get excited about who do you hire as your head coach. I'm getting more excited to see who is your defensive coordinators, who are your position coaches. You know what I mean? Who's coaching these guys in terms of technique? Who's going to be coaching these guys and putting and lining them up and scheming other teams in the league. And that to me is the big thing. I mean, literally it's a CEO type thing with these coaches. They're the CEO. They're not out there on the front lines pounding the pavement. They're just kissing babies and doing interviews,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and I mean, I think it's a good pickup for the Jets. They definitely need some kind of culture shock when it comes to, Jets football. We talked about it a few weeks ago, and they just need to pick it up. Hopefully, we'll see them pick it up here with Robert Saleh being the new head coach. Maybe they'll make some other position moves. Maybe they'll, get a few players in there. They're definitely going to get some good picks for the draft. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, I think that's pretty much all we had written down, unless you wanted to tag anything on the end there.
Man, I think that's it. I mean, we got a lot of good things coming up. Probably here in a few weeks, we're going to look at, once the season gets done, we'll look at actually focusing more on the draft and looking at what these what these franchises around the NFL are going to need to do in the offseason to get, make a title push and go even further in the playoffs and just kind of the horizon. And we'll also take a look at some college football and kind of see what kind of happens from there. And like I said, we'll kind of roll with it as it comes in. And but man, it's a good year in sports already. I can tell you that.
Hell yeah, my guy. Well, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. I'm going to end it with, once again, our sponsor, Crest Honda. If you are looking for a brand new car, come check out our brand new inventory, not even our pre-owned inventory. If you're tight on a budget, if you're trying to hit $200, $300 a month, guess what? We might be able to do that for you on a brand new Civic. $17,999. That is our lowest price Civic right now. It is an executive demo. It is a brand new car. It will start the warranty from the day you buy it off the lot. 5 years, 60,000 miles. 3 year, 36,000 miles on the comprehensive and the powertrain. You come on in. We'll get you a fantastic price on any of our inventory on the lot. Make sure you ask for me or Christian too. We have Odysseys, cutting thousands of dollars off the price of brand new minivans. If you're looking for a brand new minivan, if you're looking for a good, reliable van that's going to last you 15, 20, 30 years, come down and see us, man. We've got thousands of dollars off. We got a Honda Odyssey Touring 2021, brand new, fresh off the truck for $40,000, $40,901 to be exact. It takes off almost $4,000 off the MSRP of that car. And I mean, that is a fantastic deal. Make sure you come check in our pre-owned inventory as well. We have a lot of great cars, whether you're looking for a cash car for your college student, whether you're looking for, you know, just a little beater get around car on our pre-owned lot, or we have some really, really nice pre-owned inventory as well. We have some 2020s on our lot for Ford Escape. We have a 2020 Ford Escape, brand new, only has a few thousand miles on it. We've got a brand new I think it's an F-250, 2020 with really low miles on it. If you're looking for a great vehicle, come see us down here at Crest Honda. We'll make sure we take good care of you. Thank you for our sponsor.
Yep, Crest Honda, simply the best for less.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that's going to be it for us. Thanks for stopping by the stream. Make sure if you have any questions or anything, give us a holler, and we'll be happy to help you. This has been Drew Fowler and Christian Hunt with the Snap Rewind Sports Podcast. Hopefully we'll get this video on fucking YouTube. And also, big transitional change. We will not be streaming on my Twitch channel anymore. We will be exclusively streaming on YouTube, so that way the video can just transfer straight over. I won't have to mess with a bunch of edits, stuff like that. We'll just go ahead and stream it live on YouTube, and then it'll be on display on YouTube for everybody to watch afterwards. If you don't have time to watch us, do it live. You can watch us anytime you want to on YouTube. And it's going to be fantastic. I'm excited about it. I know you're excited about it, Christian.
Damn right.
So we're going to be doing big things. YouTube is going to be a really good platform switch for us. I'm still going to be here on Twitch doing video game content, so if you want to stick around, check that out. I'm going to end the stream after we sign off on here, and then I'll hop back on around 10:15, 10:30, and we'll play some games, man. And Christian, if you want to hop on and play some games too, come on with it.
Yeah, I think I know our buddy Jay definitely wants to get in there, so we'll run it.
Hell yeah. All right, guys. Well, thanks for coming to the Snap Rewind Sports Podcast. This has been your host, Drew and Christian, a.k.a. Stabbin' Cabin, a.k.a. Tugboat, a.k.a. Uncle Rico. Make sure you follow us on all of our socials, Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. Did you make an Instagram account for this yet?
No, but we will.
All right, we'll make an Instagram account, and we'll post some goofy pictures and shit you guys will absolutely love and fall in love with. Make sure you stick around for my gameplay. Also follow me on my Twitch. Same Twitch. Twitter, Instagram. Make sure you follow me on all of my socials as well. Make sure you follow Christian on his socials for the Young Walt 36 gaming channel as well. For the what you were playing NFL Madden, right? The other night.
Yeah, I was playing a lot of Madden and stuff like that. I'll probably honestly try to get back on and probably run a little more Call of Duty, some more shoot 'em up type games and stuff.
Cool. Hell yeah. All right, guys, and thank you again for coming out. You have a good evening.
We'll see you later.